Chapter 7. Greater Good. The greater good. Raindrops already had low spirits worsen still as they tried one boot at a store after the other. All you met clueless clerks and managers who had no useful information. As they approached the fifth store, she groaned out loud. Do we really have to go in there? I hate these guys! I could take the lead instead, offered Carrot Top. You could stay outside. Shirley shook her head. Raindrops needs to come with, she said. She's the best at being intimidating. Carrot Top said nothing, but nodded her head. Would it help if I gave you a hug? Asked Snail, still riding on Raindrops' back. He started out walking, but the elements had climbed up and down several levels in Carolot since beginning their search for information on armored boots, and the foal quickly tired. Here. And he had the back of Raindrops' neck. The weatherman masked a small smile. Thanks, but I still don't want to go. Last clerk said the elite guards might have boots as strong as the ones we're talking about, said Shirley. And Fisher Armor is the guards' best supplier of gear, including footwear. So if that foot is really guard grade, FA probably sold it, and that's true, then the manager at their local store is our best bet for information. We don't have the boot though, said Raindrops. At most, all we'll get is a bunch of model numbers, one of which might be the boot in question. And maybe a customer list. Maybe even a customer cutie marks, if the boots are really being marketed as army supplies. They're only allowed to sell them to buyers the court fed for security. And if that's the case, we should be able to get names, marks, addresses, and anything else we need. Shirley shrugged. It's the best idea I have. Right. Raindrops began to trot a little faster and tried not to think about it. Fisher's one of the bastards who left our town to trot. If that's we're crawling for him to help us. She couldn't finish the thought. Let's just do this. Fisher Armor, retail, was a moderately sized building in the upper levels of Canterlot. As the elements approached it, Raindrops noted how the entire district seemed shut down. Bars, boutiques, and bodegas alike were closed. The streets were almost empty of every pony, except for marching soldiers. Above it all loomed Canterlot Castle, surrounded by a thick pink bubble patrolled by what seemed like 100 royal guards. Noses plastered to the walls strongly recommended every pony to stay indoors, except in case of emergency. This is really creepy, said Raindrops. Carrot Top managed a smile. They'll fix it. We always do. As Raindrops approached Fisher Armor, she saw that it, unlike the rest of the district, was still open. A pony stood in front of wearing armor similar to Fisher's, and at her side floated a jeweled sword with edgings of strange metals. Carrot Top and Raindrops hesitated for a moment, but Shirley just marched right up. Excuse me, she said, going for the door. Appointment only, growled the pony. Appointment? Shirley smiled. I'm sorry, it seems you weren't informed. We're the Knights of the Round. So? I'm the Grand Poobah of the Marshmallow Islands. No appointment, no entrance. Our shoes Fisher's orders. Shirley's smile grew razor thin. I didn't finish. We're Knights of the Realm, and we're here to pick up our armor before embarking on a very dangerous mission in defense of Equestria. Archduke Fisher's already given his approval. The guard blinked. But an appointment is... I'm sure you've read Fisher's opinions in the papers about the importance of keeping us elements safe, said Shirley in a prim voice. He believes that we should be monitored around-the-clock surveillance. That night guard battalions should be encamped within Ponyville, and that we should be required to travel with armed escorts when we leave the North Everfree. Or preferably, we'd be locked in a secured underground bunker, except for when we need to fight the tyrant's son. He said all this at the Grand Galby Gala, remember? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you what Reality Check and everybody else who works on We Hate MLP forums thinks. I'm sure you can imagine his opinions on whether we should be denied access to his armor, which, as he said so many times in press releases, is the very best of the land, before going off to face the battle of the tyrant's son and her legions of minions. Legions? Thought Raindrops. She's enjoying this way too much. The guard was starting to sweat. He glanced at Snails, who was sitting quietly on Raindrops. Right, you have a follow it. Ancient Entomologus has already put on his disguise. Not that it's any of your business. Let us in, or do you want us to battle the tyrant's son without armor? But, the guard began, took a hesitant breath. What missing? You don't need to know that. Princess Luna and Archie Fixer agreed that it was to remain confidential. Charlie let out a soft sigh. With the tyrant's son spies everywhere, especially today of all days. Why would you want me to spread state secrets in the street? Unless you're one of them. No! Snapped the guard. No, ma'am! We'll see about that. Right now, it seems all you're doing is instructing the business of Sassel Security. The teacher smiled fast entirely. Now, are you getting out of our way? Or do I need to go find Fisher and bring him back here to authorize keeping the elements safe? They were let in. Charlie snickered as soon as the heavy door behind them shut. Is that every pony? Is why you don't rule a company based on fear or intimidation. Snails climbed up so he was peeking over Raindrop's head. Sometimes we fear you'll assign too much homework. Well, that's not the same thing. Whoa! Raindrops held up a hoof as he adjusted the display. Several sets of boats were sitting there, including one that looked approximately like what the pony on the tracks had been wearing. Jackpot, said Carrot Top. I'm sorry, Baron, but I'm just not sure how much I'll be able to help you. Baron Max found himself not to get up and started pacing through the warden's living room. Hang 'em higher, the pony in charge of Folsom Prison, was an older Pegasus with graying hair and a drooping mustache. Okay, no, I got another voice. I got another one. Max had seen him a few times before and thought that he looked quite energetic and powerful despite his age. He moved with short burlesque motions that radiated a sense of purpose. Now he just looked limp and tired as he slumped on his divan. I was hoping to talk to you about the jailbreak.
I've already told the official investigators everything I knew.
Hire sank deeper into the divan.
I've been in charge of Folsom Prison for about 8 years. We've hosted pirates, foreign mercenaries, insurgents, and even that monster that attacked the Grand Gala last summer. There's a lot of this has ever happened today. I thought I was doing a pretty good job. I guess not.
He sighed.
I just don't know what went wrong. That's what I told the investigators, and that's all I got for you. Sorry.
I'm taking a slightly different track than the investigators. Max leaned forwards a little so he was about the same height as the warden. A tip posing Tom for making Ponies feel uncomfortable. Warden, Folsom Prison is relatively large, yet only a dozen prisoners escape. How was the jailbreak targeted?
Some opponent cast a massive heresy blast at the wall of the prison building near where the Lucas and a few others were at the time. The post knocked a big hole in the wall, and the prisoners fled to the courtyard. Another post knocked down the front part of the outer wall. By the time we could move the rain guards and block down the holes, a dozen prisoners had gotten out.
Max died. The Mafia ponies left very quickly, so they're probably already awake, even though the jailbreak happened very early this morning.
'Cause they knew about it already, I would assume.
That's one possibility. Another is, Max trailed off and then said, let me ask you something else. Where were the prisoners? If they were just in their cells, I imagine they already been asleep.
Higher paused. Well, no, they weren't in their cells. They were in the main room.
Why? Asked Max, even though he had a good idea why.
Look, I'm really not supposed to go into this.
Unless Princess Luna or the Night Court has declared that a classified matter, said Max, keeping his voice calm yet firm, just like Posey had taught him. You have an obligation to provide me with the information I need in this matter. I'm the Camelot Security Council, and this pertains directly to the city's security. He paused for emphasis. Now, after the legal stuff, add a personal remark, just like Greengrass told me. I need you to help me make this right, Tyre, so everybody in this city, from the oldest senior citizen to the littlest foal, is safe again. Hire was silent for a long moment, and he spoke with a tired voice.
The government has been trying to flip the Lucas ever since they were arrested. Muriel Luca has contacts in a lot of Griffin kingdoms, including a few that Southpoles might think might be leaning towards siding with Corona. But Muriel wanted to get out of jail free card for the information. And one from Antilla, too, but Luna refused. She says he wouldn't let some pony who heard questioning civilians go free to hurt them again, even in exchange for information that could help mass the army.
What changed?
Muriel made one of the prison gangs angry. Suddenly, he has a lot more amenable for a reasonable deal. 10 years, medium security for him and his brother, in exchange for his information. He and his brother were meeting with the equestrian lawyers to work out a plea deal when the attack happened.
He raised one hoof, then dropped it again.
Look, I should have known they would use the plea meal as a chance to escape out.
I don't think that's what happened, said Max. Who else knew about the meeting?
Just me, a few of the staff members, the lawyers, and Supervisor Sarah Bolt.
Aha! A shell bolt was there.
Yes, since the deal involved a matter of national security. Why?
Max took a shot in the dark. What would happen to be an ancient sneak attack?
Why, yes. Warren Post, how would you know that?
The same one who brought Twilight up to Carolot. At least his alias is consistent. How did you know he was a real Shadow Bolt? If I could figure out his falsified identity, I might be able to track him. If he had an excellent pony to back him, maybe that's the pony on it too. If
Princess Luna told us.
Max's mouth almost dropped. What?
She came by to prison and told us she was taking a personal interest in the case because of the national security thing, because she wanted to make sure we didn't just let Mario Mantilla walk away without paying any penance to the equestrians they hurt. She told us that an ancient sneak attack would be overseeing things, and that, since he spent several years working on Shadow Bolt level crimes, criminals that kept evading to regular guards for years and years, the really smart and well-connected ones, that he was just the right pony to have.
Max said nothing. He was staring out to space. Well, asked Warren, well, you knew it was absurd that the Shadow Bolts would officially try and capture Twilight and the others. So he assumed it was an imposter, thought Max. But what if it was just a rogue? A Shadow Bolt who spent years of chasing criminals he couldn't get any legal evidence on, or managed to catch some but had to watch that they made a plea deal, reduced sentence. So he gave up on the law and took a shortcut by becoming a vigilante. In fact, I'll bet he was familiar with every one of the ponies I locked up earlier. They were all in the police records. They all had long and storied criminals' careers. The Shadow Bolt was focused on Carolina crime would know about him. He shook his head briefly. I apologize. Can you tell me anything more about Sneak Attack?
This time he always seemed very busy. He did good work, mind you. Never got to prison. He was just laying the present affairs aside. Always seemed to be doing many different investigations.
That doesn't help. Wait. If he was just some random vigilante, he might be able to devote his whole life to this. But if he had a real job with the Shadow Bolts, how much time could he steal away? He'd be noticed if he vanished for too long, and that means, yes, telling in Greengrass guessed the vigilante was blocking Twilight's mail, but he thought he'd be doing it by sneaking into the post office to monitor Ponies' letters. Now, if Sneak Attack was this busy, he would be able to monitor the post office 24/7. He would have one of the other conspirators do it. Well, he'd probably notice, or he could have her mail redirected. He could follow a notice with the post office, saying to send all of Twilight Sparkle's mail to another location so it could be checked. The Postal Service does that for criminal investigations. They wouldn't question a Shadow Bolt, but said it rare. If its address was fake, or so far away, it required more postage. The redirected mail would just be returned to Twilight as undeliverable, and she knows something was wrong. So it went to a real pony. That pony would wonder why Twilight was mailing them. But if it went to his own addresses, that could be a clue. Max rose. Thank you, he said. You've been a big help.
Is there anything else I can do?
Hire rose as well.
I won't. If there's any possible way, I won't make up for this.
There is. Gather as many off-duty prison guards as you can who are willing to help me arrest some dangerous criminals.
Lucas?
Those who broke him out, said Max. The warden's eyes shone for a moment, then said,
Everything's shut down, even carriages and chariots. My ponies live all over the city. It'll take time.
Do it as fast as you can, ordered Max. Have them gather at the train station. I'll meet them there if I can, or leave instructions for how they can help me. He allowed himself to smile. We're going to get these guys, he said. I promise. Hire not.
I'll do whatever I can.
No, said the retail manager of the Fisher Armor in Carolot after the elements had sat down at his desk and refused to leave until he answered their questions. It's impossible. We've never sold a single one of those boots. Raindrops raised an eyebrow. Are they on display for artistic reasons? Snails gave a soft giggle, and Raindrop smiled at her brother, and then said, Why would you have them on if they don't sell? They're just a prototype. They The master's horn glowed, and the boots slowly floated, and fits and jerks over to the elements. Raindrops noted how the manager was slowing profusely by the end. They're supposed to be the greatest almond boots in Equestria, and they are. The problem is they're too heavy. The weight reduction spells didn't work. Raindrops tried to lift the bell, boot up. She could, but it took much more effort than she would have thought. So, they're here. In case we get the odd pony who's strong enough to be able to use them. So far, we haven't. We likely won't sell any until they fix the problem, which should be for a few weeks. The manager shook his head. So I'm afraid it's quite possible that the pony you're looking for had them. He did, Shirley said. I thought that pony long enough to know. Ma'am, we do have similar boots, as do our competitors.
I took a picture,
Snail said sullenly.
Will that help?
The manager frowned. A picture? Raindrops was stunned for a moment, and then grinned. I thought he was trying to use telekinesis to throw rocks at the bad guys. But was he photographing everything instead using that spell Trixie taught him? You can remember what, 3 pictures at once now?
3.
Snail's actually looked happy.
And I wanted to remember how awesome my sister and Miss Cheerily were, so I took all 3.
I believe you said the pony was obscured with some sort of magic spell, said the manager. If that's true, I can't imagine the picture just called my brother, said Raindrops. Yes, brother. It's clear enough to prove that our boots were used in such an act. He just shut her eyes so she didn't burn the other pony with her gaze. All he cares about is Fisher Industries, not getting blamed in the papers for this. Surely, she hissed. It wasn't hard to look.
Oh,
Snails gasped.
Even if this pony is blurry, I have a picture of the ground after Miss Cheerily chased that pony away, and
if we see how much damage the iron rail took, we can see how strong the boots would need to be to let the pony survive the blast. Fizzed Cheerily. Very good, Snails. The foal grinned from ear to ear. Can you show us the image, Snails? Asked Carrot Tops.
Snails died. Miss Trixie showed me how.
Wait, said Cheerily. That takes a kiss, I saw, and... But Snails was already starting to cast. His mouth moved a bit as he were mouthing magic words, and his horns sputtered up, and cast a greenish glow. A few moments passed, then slowly a hazy image flickered into existence between the elements and the manager. It showed a bewildered Cheerily in a destroyed track, with a hemisphere of iron rail and concrete foundation blasted out of existence. It was like a bomb had been dropped in the middle of the track. Could any boots besides your prototype survive that? Demanded Raindrops. The manager scrutinized the image very carefully, his green cloak slowly paling. I mean, yes. Granted, that's a lot of damage, yes. Most boots would provide protection, but after all this, it's just an image. Could be altered. That fool couldn't make a mistake. Look, Raindrops growled. First of all, Ponies tried to kill us and our friends. Second of all, we have the right to approach Luna at any time and petition her about anything. Third, Luna takes a real dim view and strikes at justice, especially when it relates to attempted murder. I appreciate that, but... Raindrop stood in one quick motion, then knelt, placed her hose underneath the master's desk, and lifted the business stallion gate as the weatherman slanted to the wall and shouted, I am officially done with all this. Fourth, lives are at stake, and we're out of patience. Tell us everything you know, now. The manager sank back to his chair. All right. I know of no other boots besides the model you pointed out that can enable a pony to take a blast like that and its hooves to survive. But I tell you, we haven't sold them. We gotta get rid of them as a gift, except for a few Fisher Factory security guards. I can assure you no pony has worn them. He frowned. And none of those ponies are back at Stalingrad, guarding Fisher's factories. The ones in the city have the lightweight models, sleek and strong. There isn't a single pony in the city who bought these boots. Was any pony recently removed from factory security? Asked Shirley. Any pony who was strong enough to wear those boots might have come here after being let go. I don't know. You have to ask one of them. Shirley was already half the way to the door. She returned in a moment for the pony from outside. Let's ask her then. The pony hesitated after hearing the story and their questions. Or responded once the monitor urged her a few times. Well, the only one I know was fired recently was Goliath. He headed up security for Fisher Mining. They developed drill bits, mining courts, blasting spells, and punts and mountains, things like that, but The elements exchanged a glance at the mention of blasting spell. But he couldn't, the factory security pony said. He wouldn't have been able to put together any kind of plan to lure a pony somewhere to hurt him. Don't tell any pony I told you this, but Goliath was kind of a charity case. Our suit fixer doesn't believe in charity, except for suitably mysterious ponies, said Shirley. He thinks the first resources from the strong to the weak. A tabloid made that quote up, said the armored pony, but that's not how I meant it. Goliath was slow. He's not like a foal. He couldn't understand any kind of complexity or nuance. Smart fool, sure, but give him instructions he could do them with a spell. Give him a spell he can learn it. But when it came to making his own judgment of something, no way. Either he just take whatever pony gave him, or he'd come up with something really simplistic. I'm waiting to hear why he was kind of head security, said Raindrops, since that job would require, judgment. Like I said, he was great at following instructions. That's what Fisher needed. Goliath patrolled, he carried out orders, and if he had to fight somebody, he was incredible. You know how some fighters freeze up against certain opponents and start worrying about whether they can win or whatever? Goliath never did that. Fisher told him that ponies who sneak into the factory are bad, and he knew they were bad. He threw them out. And that he was one of the best fighters Fisher could find, and his qualifications were obvious. You do realize how exploitive that sounds, Raindrop said, I hope. Goliath had a better life, more important work, and larger salary than he got anywhere else. How many ponies would hire some pony with the judgment of a foal? Who would go for the laborious process of training them? I believe we were discussing why he was fired, said Shirley. Besides, said the pony, he was also a legacy. His big sister's in charge of factory security. She oversees the guards of all Fisher's properties and... Raindrop stared. Big sister? Bigger than what, a Zeppelin? Goliath was huge. How can his sister be even bigger? Was that family half giant or something? Shirley coughed. Ahem. Why was Goliath fired? She repeated. It happened just 2 weeks ago. Fisher had a new facility erected last year for his mining research. 16 days ago it collapsed. Apparently the contractor used substandard materials and bolted with the extra bits. No pony was hurt or killed since it happened at night, but Goliath took it hard. Because Fisher convinced him the mine company was good. So if it was hurt, that was bad with a capital B, muttered Raindrops. Like a fool, he doesn't understand nuance. Terrific. I'm guessing the contractor had done that before? Asked Shirley. Yes, actually. We found out later. How did you know? Lucky guess. The guard shrugged. Goliath began acting erratically. He attacked another employee who had some sort of assault charge in his past. 20 years old. Been a model citizen since. But Goliath didn't care. He just kept roaring criminals are bad and should be punished. Folk, Fisher's bodyguard, had to separate him. Fisher placed Goliath on leave, and Goliath vanished. But he still returned all his equipment. I guess he didn't, said Shirley. We'll be sure to mention that to Luna, along with the rest of it. But I think we can take it from here, said Raindrops, seeing as how your lot hasn't exactly been terribly useful so far in stopping this mess. The elements turned to go. Behind them, the manager rose. Hey, weren't you getting armor? The pony asked. At least let us outfit with you. On second thought, I don't think we want to have anything to do with Fisher Industries, said Shirley. But, one more thing, the teacher added. It occurs to me that if this Goliath is caught, the world will learn that a Fisher-trained employee using Fisher equipment and resources attacked 30 or so ponies, including 3 knights of the realm, a noble and a foal. All while Fisher pranced around and sent guards running in circles looking for escaped prisoners that had nothing to do with anything. That might be bad publicity for Fisher. In fact, it might destroy him. She smiled, but no pony in the nation would think that smile contained any fragment of kindness. You might want to think about the possibility that Goliath is a little smarter than you thought, that he knows what you did to him. Taking a pony with a mind like a foal and turning him into some kind of war machine was unfair and wrong, but he's figured out a way to take you all down. The manager's mouth dropped. But just think about it, she said, and left the store. The air elements and snails followed.